Back to my channel. Today also we're going to discuss previous year question paper history part 2 paper 2, and as we all know, it is the marks for 250 marks maximum, and it would be given 3 hours for you to produce your answers. And as I usually say that before writing any answers you should be having a clear cut understanding what is the question. You have to read the questions for twice at least and look for the topic and underline the word and relevant, and underline the word which is restrict for to you to answer for these questions, and look for instructions words, and you have to always rewrite the questions in your own word in your mind at least. Yeah, I understand it is time constraint. It all depends on your pre-preparations makes you to answer this questions better. So without waiting much time, let us get into today's topic, history paper 2 previous year question paper. And question paper, you have to have a specific instructions. Make sure that you have to have a there are 8 questions divided in 2 sections and printed both in English and Hindi, and candidate has to attempt 5 questions in all, and in questions number 1 and 5 are compulsory out of the remaining any 3 or to be attempted, choosing at least 1 questions from the each, and the number of marks carried by a questions paper is indicated against. So these are the medium of writing. So you should make sure that whichever the language you have filled at the time of mains, so make sure you have to write it in that accordingly. So first section says critically examine the following statement about 150 words, 10 to that is each carries 5 or each carries 10 marks. You have to answer 5 questions. 1 and 5 is a mandatory questions. Maharaja Ranjit Singh died in 1839. His death was a signal for an outburst of anarchy all over the Punjab. So in the initial stages when Indian nationalism was immature, just sprouting it out to found expression in many liberal religio reforms movement. In the early 20th century there came into existence a number of women organizations which operated more actively in the public arena and focused more directly on women's political and legal rights. The trade union movement in India not only supported the call for national struggles at critical junctures, but also impacted its courses and character in several ways. Based on his discussion with Indian leaders as well as his perceptions, Lord Mountbatten soon came to the conclusions that partition was the only practicable and feasible solution. So next question is, it was Duplex who had showed the way of intervening in dispute of the Indian rulers and thereby acquiring political control over vast territories, techniques which was later perfected by the English East India Company. Elaborate. For long, the revolt of 1857 has been mistaken to be a mere maturity of the Indian Sipahi in the Bengal army. However, it has caused a need to be searched for not only in the dissatisfactions of the army, but it is a long drawn process of fundamental social and economic changes that upset the peasant communities and discuss. Next question is, do you feel that the Santal Hul rebellion 1855-56 was the most effective tribal movement in pre-1857 India? In its political behavior, the Indian National Congress in its early career was never a radical organization, based the foundation of the Congress involved A.O. Hume in their projects. Do this facts verify that the Congress was founded as a safety value? Explain. Do you agree with the fact that the virtual failure of the non-cooperations movement and the gloom that descended on the nationalist sense create a conditions for revolutionary activities? Discuss. Planning was seen as a powerful instrument that could be used to remove regional inequality. Explain. In the divide and constable space of Indian politics, Gandhiji could claim for himself a centric position because he alienated neither and tactically combined the goal of the moderates with the means of the extremes discussed. After Indian independence, India-China relations started on high note, but during the course of the coming years, India has had to face a bitter experience due to the Chinese aggressions. Elaborate. The reorganization of states of the basis of language was major aspect of national consolidations and integrations. Comment. That's all for A section, and we are going to move on to section B, that critically examine the following statement in about 150 words, that is each carries 10 marks. You have to answer 5 questions. First question and the last question would be mandatory questions, and other questions are like optional, you can use it. The principle of 18th century enlightenment were in some way or constitution of the discoveries and theories of the scientific revolution. The causes of the French revolutions of 1789 included both long-term and structural factors as well as more immediate events. Industrial revolution had far-reaching social and political consequences with an advent of assembly line factories and urbanization and rise of the urban working classes. The multitudes of newly independent countries came to be known as the Third World, belonging neither to the first bird of capitalist democracies nor the communist second world. The British were slated to withdraw from the Palestine in May 1948, and both sides prepared for that day. Violence between Arabs and Jews, already endemic, escalated. Napoleon was not a revolutionary, but he solidified many of the revolutionary changes of 1789 and 1791, and he himself supported most of the ideas and proposals of enlightenment philosophers and sustain it. Lincoln's main thesis was that the slavery issue had to be decided one way or the other and could not longer be evaded by compromising. Comment in the light of his role in the American Civil War. The 1948 revolution frightened the crowned heads of Europe and the casual several to abdicate. Those who remained were cognizant of these threats posted by liberalism, nationalism and socialism. Comment. From Bismarck's blood and iron speech and his forceful actions to achieve German unifications, Bismarck came to be known as the Iron Chancellor. Critically examine. So, do you agree with the statement that the Second World War was the history's most destructive war? Elaborate and discuss the circumstance leading to the French exit and Algeria in 1962. How did Stalin build a Lenin legacy of Bolshevik revolutions and introduce new elements of totalitarianism to transform USSR as a superpower? A new configurations of power emerged in world politics after the end of the Cold War. Analyze how USA managed to become the sole supreme power. Critically examine whether it was true that after a century or dependency on Europeans, Africans were ill prepared for the task of national building. I think that's all for the day. Do like my videos and subscribe my channel for more updates and happy preparations. Thank you. Bye.